Hello, 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 everybody. How y'all doing? Good evening. It is 7:34 p.m. CST on a Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. What up? It's me, ya boy. Good old Aliulo. Back at it again with the SCP readings. Isn't that right? Ain't that right? What up? How you doing, Quasi Quafter? What up? Oh, you know, just SCPs and stuff. You know how it is. I'm actually caught up with the... I spent my day getting caught up with, Gen V. Watched the first 3 episodes. Show's good, man. Show's good. Looking forward to continuing it. Chilling at work, hell yeah. What's on the reading list? Well, I've got 4 things on the immediate docket. Let's go over here, shall we? The 4 things on the docket for today are SCP-1969, Disco Inferno, SCP-1588, The Cliff Face, SCP-1065, Self-Immolating Books, and Scantron's proposal for SCP-001. Those are the 4 things on the docket. Hi, hello, Unlucky. How you doing? Hi, hello. What up? Just like the one-winged dove. Under the weather, a bit sick, but for the most part, pretty good. Well, I'm sorry to hear that you're sick, but I'm glad that other than that, you're doing well. Alrighty. Well, after these 4, I will probably actually go into editing mode over on Twitch to get some work in on them. But I'll read them on YouTube as well. Just a bit sick, but it's fine. I'm getting over it. Well, that's good to hear. For the record, there will be more to be added to the info that I made in Writing Room 3. Oh. Okay. Alright, let's get to work. Do I have any... I don't think I got any interviews, and no, I do have an interview. Alright, so I gotta have my voice changer open so that I can do my radio thing. Okay. Alright. Disco Inferno. Item number SCP-1969. SCP-1969. Object Class Keter. Special Containment Procedures. Due to the inherently immobile nature of SCP-1969, it is located at the recovery site, now named Site-1969. The primary containment unit is a hollow steel ball, 1 centimeter in thickness, containing multiple low-powered electric pistons. These pistons are controlled by a computer located 1.2 meters away on the floor of the secondary containment unit, allowing them to fluctuate in a controlled manner in order to keep SCP-1969 perpetually in the lambda state. The steel ball has a diameter of 56 centimeters and is attached to the roof of the secondary containment unit. Outside the primary containment unit is a concrete room known as the secondary containment unit. Microphone was too far away from my mouth. Outside of the primary containment unit is a concrete room known as the secondary containment unit. You know what? Let's just redo all of that. Microphone was too far away. Restart. Disco Inferno. Disco Inferno. Item number: SCP-1969. Object Class: Keter. Special Containment Procedures. Due to the inherently immobile nature of SCP-1969, it is located at the recovery site, now named Site-1969. The primary containment unit is a hollow steel ball, 1 centimeter in thickness, containing multiple low-powered electric pistons. These pistons are controlled by a computer located 1.2 meters away on the floor of the secondary containment unit, allowing them to fluctuate in a controlled manner in order to keep SCP-1969 perpetually in the lambda state. The steel ball has a diameter of 56 centimeters and is attached to the roof of the secondary containment unit. Outside the primary containment unit is a concrete room known as the secondary containment unit. What's up, Alistor? How you been, man? Welcome to SCP Reading Time. Just getting started. Alright, back to it. Hope you're doing well. Dimensions are 15 meters by 15 meters by 3.5 meters. 50 small transmitters are attached to the walls, relaying a constant message to either one of 4 off-site receivers or 2 of 8 on-site receivers. In the event that more than 2 of these transmitters stop working, MTF Alpha 9, party poopers, will secure the tertiary containment unit and administer amnestics and tranquilizers. Footnote: if it becomes apparent that the growth of the Sayao zone can only be halted by the termination of a large number of civilians, MTF Alpha 9 is authorized to do so, using mimetic agents and chemicals, such as desflurane, to locals if necessary. The tertiary containment is largely a mimicry of the transmitter/receiver setup in the secondary containment unit. This unit contains 1,500 transmitters and 8 receivers scattered over 20 square miles, spanning the entirety of Site-1969. It serves as a secondary method of monitoring the Sayao zone when SCP-1969 is in an alpha state. Along the edge of Site-1969 are 20 outposts for guards, 3 guards per outpost. One final outpost contains the research and administrative staff of Site-1969, housing 35 people at the time of writing. Redacted. 2010. Redacted. Ground and aerial transportation is available for each outpost to provide immediate evacuation in the event of SCP-1969 entering a continued. To provide immediate evacuation in the event of SCP-1969 entering a continued alpha state. If SCP-1969 remains in an alpha state for longer than 40 seconds, Site personnel are to alert Site Director Nelson or Assistant Director Jackson. Description: SCP-1969 is a disco ball made by an unknown manufacturer. It is 50.8 centimeters, 20 inches, in diameter, and has a hook attached to the top of the ball in order to hang it from the ceiling. In order to hang it from a ceiling. There are redacted separate surfaces on the ball, all small, approximately 5mm by 5mm, in size and mirror-like in appearance. Despite the lack of a power source, electromagnetic waves pulsate from each separate face of SCP-1969. However, the faces on SCP-1969 do not consistently radiate at the same wavelength, and randomly change after anywhere between less than redacted seconds and close to 2 minutes. Footnote: each face acts separately, and as such, redacted different wavelengths emanate from SCP-1969 at any given time. These waves have ranged through the entire electromagnetic spectrum. Footnote: although being inside the Xiao zone will not lead to immediate death, the amount of radiation is extremely harmful and is inevitably lethal after an extended period of time. Although wavelengths in or near the human visible spectrum are much more likely to linger than extremely long or short wavelengths, which shift quickly. This lends to the classic image of a disco ball, with multicolored lights shining from a mirrored spinning ball. Light emanating from SCP-1969 shines through or penetrates materials normally opaque to it. Footnote: for example, light from SCP-1969 with a wavelength of 580 nanometers, yellow, would be able to pass through a material fully opaque to visible light. Gamma rays coming from SCP-1969 are similarly unaffected by radioactive shielding. Despite this, all electromagnetic waves seem to reflect normally, but paradoxically seem to penetrate materials as well as paradoxically seem to penetrate materials as well, without lowering in intensity. However, the area in which this effect takes place is limited to an ellipsoidal. The area in which this effect takes place is limited to an ellipsoidal space centered around SCP-1969, known as the Xiao Zone. This area spreads out horizontally much more quickly than vertically. SCP-1969 has 3 states of existence, hereafter referred to as Alpha, Beta, and Lambda. The Alpha state is highly dangerous. During the Alpha state, the Xiao Zone expands. Alpha states are triggered and continued by gross physical motion within the Xiao Zone. Footnote. Footnote. The rate of growth correlates directly to the cumulative joules of kinetic energy being applied in the Xiao zone, compounded continuously at a rate of E. Moreover, however, this movement does not need to be artificially caused, allowing natural causes to propel an alpha state in SCP-1969. During this time, SCP-1969 rotates clockwise with respect to the ceiling at varying speeds. The rate of growth of the Xiao zone is not constant. Approximately redacted seconds after the cumulative movement inside of the Xiao zone reduces to redacted %. The Xiao zone's sensitivity to kinetic energy readjusts to allow fewer joules applied to trigger an alpha state. After a certain point, it becomes possible for such small, uncontrollable movements as normal tectonic motion to put SCP-1969 in an alpha state. Mathematical measurements and speculations relating to alpha states are located in Document 1969 Alpha Document 1969 Alpha 01. Fortunately, the sensitivity of the Xiao zone during alpha states lowers, allowing it to enter a beta state. Beta states occur following an alpha state. As its kinetic sensitivity decreases, the Xiao zone slows its growth due to the relative lack of new movement. If the amount of movement within the Xiao zone goes down enough, the zone will begin to shrink, inciting a beta state. During this state, SCP-1969 spins counterclockwise with respect to the ceiling at varying speeds. If enough joules were to be exerted inside the Xiao zone, it could expand to cover all of Earth. A theoretical event referred to as an ennui scenario. Dr. Redacted speculates that if the Xiao zone were to reach the town, Dr. Redacted speculates that if the Xiao zone were to reach the town of Redacted, an ennui scenario would be inevitable, as no means available to the Foundation could halt its growth. An ennui scenario would affect all light entering the Earth's atmosphere, eventually kill 99% of all organic life forms from radiation poisoning, and cause a multitude of other problems. The Xiao zone shrinks considerably while in a beta state, before returning to an alpha or a lambda state. The lambda state constitutes constant fluctuation between alpha and beta states, to the effect that the Xiao zone's size never changes significantly. Addendum. The following note was discovered near SCP-1969 during recovery. Most of the upper right portion was burned off during Incident 1969A, prior to collection by Foundation assets. Document appears to be a receipt. Part of the Marshall, Carter, and Dark logo is drawn lightly on the background of the note. Data lost. Amount of data lost. Location of auction. Data lost. Note: due to this item not having been tested by MC&D, starting bid, data lost. Description of item. Disco ball, measuring 20 inches in diameter. Actively hunts for parties to service. When partying ends, stops. Does not require a power source. Runs indefinitely. That it sure does. Okay, let's save. Raw. SCP-1916. Get a new file open for the next one. Let me clear my throat. Alrighty. Doing good, been exercising a lot recently and lost almost 10 pounds. Hell yeah, dude. Congratulations. Alrighty. Let's get on to the next one, shall we? The Cliff Face. The Cliff Face. Item number: SCP-1588. Object Class: Euclid. Special Containment. Special Containment Procedures. Due to its size, composition, and location, SCP-1588 cannot be relocated and is fundamentally uncontainable. The Foundation shall liaise with the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency to limit sea traffic within the area of the English Channel from which SCP-1588 is clearly visible. Any photographs of SCP-1588 that appear in civilian circulation are to be dismissed as an example of pareidolia. The areas of land above and below SCP-1588 are to be monitored by CCTV and by plainclothes Foundation personnel. The Foundation and local authorities shall discourage civilians from approaching SCP-1588 on foot due to safety concerns. Any civilians coming into communication with SCP-1588 are to be debriefed. Any civilians coming into communication with SCP-1588 are to be debriefed and administered a Class A amnestic. Literature referring to the history of SCP-1588 and its anomalous properties is to be suppressed and removed from circulation as necessary. SCP-1588 is to be closely monitored for any indications of erosion or geological instability. In the event of an erosion-related collapse affecting SCP-1588, SCP-1588 is to be thoroughly examined and communication re-established as soon as possible, and reclassification to be made as appropriate. Description: SCP-1588 is a section of the White Cliffs of Dover, located along the southeastern coast of England. Approximately 80 meters in length by 100 meters in height. SCP-1588 is, as are the non-anomalous portions of the White Cliffs, composed principally of chalk, highlighted by streaks of black flint. Flint outcroppings within SCP-1588 have produced an image which, when viewed by a human being, vaguely resembles a human face with eyes, nose, and mouth. SCP-1588 is fully sapient and is capable of sight and hearing, and possesses a rudimentary sense of smell. SCP-1588's field of vision is limited to an area of the English Channel and northern coastal France, directly in front of itself. SCP-1588 has demonstrated an ability to discern minor details in objects located several dozen kilometers away. In one case, correctly identifying the colors and patterns on a flag held aloft by a staff member standing on the beach at Cap Gris-Nez, France. Approximately 34 kilometers away from SCP-1588. Interviews conducted with SCP-1588 have largely consisted of SCP-1588 describing in great detail various ships and boats it has spotted traveling across and through the English Channel. SCP-1588 has referred to the watching and cataloging of said vessels as its hobby. SCP-1588 is able to communicate by producing low-frequency seismic vibrations within the cliffs it is embedded in, which can be interpreted as speech by a human being placing their ear to the ground within 5 meters of the cliff's edge. SCP-1588 is capable of hearing human speech within this radius and holding lengthy conversations. SCP-1588 has been determined to be fluent in modern and archaic forms of English, French, Kentish, Welsh, Gaelic, Manx, Anglo-Saxon, Celtic, Latin, and redacted. The Foundation became aware of SCP-1588 in 19 redacted, when a review of classified documents from World War II indicated that the British government and the Allies had been aware of its existence since prior to the beginning of the war, and had been relying on it for intelligence regarding German naval maneuvers and troop movements along the French coast. Subsequent reviews of local folklore revealed records of British leaders employing SCP-1588 for this purpose, as early as the 11th century, with various sources referring to it as the Old Man in the Cliff, the Fairy Face, and King Greenshield. SCP-1588 has claimed not to have a name, or to recall its age or origins. Based on descriptions of ships it has spotted, it appears to have memories dating to at least the 8th century. Geological examination of SCP-1588 indicates that it has been exposed to the elements in a state similar to its current form, for at least redacted years. Due to geological instability primarily caused by erosion, SCP-1588 is considered to be at risk of being damaged or destroyed by natural causes. SCP-1588 has claimed to feel pain following major collapses of neighboring sections of the White Cliffs. It is not known at this time whether SCP-1588 consists solely of the cliff face, or whether it extends further into the Earth. In the event of a major collapse affecting it, SCP-1588 may be reclassified as neutralized in the near future. Interview Log 1588-1. Interviewed. SCP-1588. Interviewer. Dr. Redacted. Forward. On March 15th, 2012, a large segment of the White Cliffs located to the west of SCP-1588 collapsed into the English Channel. Dr. Redacted contacted SCP-1588 to determine if it had been affected by the collapse. Begin log. 9:38 a.m.
Good morning, SCP-1588. There was recently a collapse near you. Are you in any pain or distress today?
No, I am just sad.
Why are you sad? It has been so quiet lately. Only 378 ships passed by yesterday.
Only 378?
There used to be so many more. 25,123 days ago, I counted 6,939 ships going south on one day.
You count every ship you see?
Of course. Ships are so fascinating, are they not? I especially like aircraft carriers and wooden frigates, but I rarely see those anymore aside from the museum ships that come through sometimes. I love the very old ships, the ones they stopped making when the bigger ones came around. The white ship was a pretty interesting one, but I had to close my eyes when it sank. All those little people flailing and screaming and drowning. It was most unpleasant.
Interesting. So you're not in any pain at the moment, is that correct?
Yes, I felt it when the other cliff broke, but it was only for a second. It kind of scares me to think it might happen to me soon.
Are you afraid of death?
I do not know if I can die the same way the little people on the ships can die. I know that the cliffs are always crumbling, and that my brother has not said a word to me since his face fell off.
You have a brother? Was there another one of you at some point?
I don't want to talk about it.
End log. Poor guy. His brother fell into the sea. Raw SCP-1588. Are moving up the next file. I'm running out of water here. Why'd I only bring one water? Oh man. Why am I dumb? Oh no. Well, anyway, you all want to talk about book burnings? Let's talk about book burnings. Self-immolating books. Item number: SCP-1065. Object class: safe. Special containment procedures. SCP-1065-1 through SCP-1065-4 are to be contained in individual, near vacuum anaerobic chambers, fitted with manipulation access for at least one user per chamber. No forms of written information, including information directly regarding SCP-1065, are to be kept in proximity to SCP-1065. Due to SCP-1065's anomalous effects, if one or more individual object needs to be removed from its vacuum containment, it must be handled in an environment of at least 98% humidity, at ambient temperatures not to exceed 21 degrees Celsius. While full hazardous materials protection is not currently deemed necessary, latex gloves or other methods to prevent direct skin contact is required for anyone handling SCP-1065. Description: SCP-1065 is a 4-volume series of books written in an Eastern Slavic language, apparently of the early to mid-1800s, and possibly an obscure local dialect, or a mixture of languages. The overarching title roughly translates to The Dangers of Free Knowledge. They are bound with red leather featuring faux golden embossing. and show both fire and water damage around the edges, along with significant foxing, discoloration and degradation due to aging, molding, etc. of the paper. No author, print dates, or other information or other publishing information are contained within. Although the materials have the appearance of being produced on commercial printing press. The texts of the books read as a treatise against general education, dispersal of knowledge and, ironically, written information. The actual words hold no anomalous properties and the actual words hold no anomalous properties and have been fully transcribed for study and cross-referencing. Document 1065-11. The anomalous properties become evident when someone makes physical contact with one or more of the books, at which point they begin to subscribe to the ideals contained within, even if they do not actually read any of the text. While this begins as a general understanding and mild agreement, prolonged exposure produces increased dedication to the principles put forth in the books, eventually reaching such extremes as the instigation of violent uprising against established governmental and educational systems, publicly vandalizing, and the destruction of written texts, and the destruction of public storehouses of written texts, such as libraries or bookstores. These effects will eventually wear off once physical contact with the book is broken, taking approximately 26 hours for every minute of continuous physical contact. A secondary effect occurs whenever the books are left unused for a period of time exceeding 1 month, after which they will self-immolate. The books suffer no damage from their own produced flames, but have been shown to be vulnerable to fires produced by other means, including individuals under its effects, as well as any other sort of potential damage. The flames do not seem to be able to manifest in areas where humidity is at least 95%, and ambient temperatures below 23.9 degrees Celsius, nor where oxygen levels are too low for flames to efficiently burn. Similarly, the flames are able to be extinguished through any standard means and show no anomalous properties besides their origin. Addendum. Recently recovered records show a number of otherwise inexplicable Recently recovered records show a number of otherwise inexplicable fires. A number of otherwise inexplicable fires occurring at a series of libraries and universities throughout Eastern Europe, all tied to an acquisition of SCP-1065 approximately 1 week before the fire. As SCP-1065 was discovered and contained following a fire in the redacted Government Hall, shortly after the breakup of the USSR. Any prior records of transfer of the books has been lost. Any prior records of transfer of the books had been lost and presumed destroyed in the blaze. Dr. K was given a citation of merit for his diligence in tracking down the prior history of the objects, as well as the theory that SCP-1065's period before ignition is significantly reduced when multiple instances are kept together, and further reduced when stored in proximity to other pieces of written knowledge. That is SCP-1065. Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Alright, I gotta open another file. But also, I need more water. I'll be right back, don't worry. I'm not going far. You can probably still hear me as I walk. That I love you too. But of nerds I return, I bring water. Almost lost the lid. Get loose, there it is. Alrighty. Get the next one rolling. Alright, let me take a drink. Let's get back to work. Now, technically this is a UIU file, so I'm gonna have to use the UIU reading style. So hope you're all ready. The Foundation. UIU file 0041. Altered High School building in redacted. Confirmed anomaly 3. Object class 53. Highly intrusive, unknown capabilities, unknown nature. Secure containment protocols. Confirmed anomaly 3, CA3. Is to be surrounded by an electric fence no less than 30 feet high. And guarded by the United States Army's redacted platoon. Any footage or photographic evidence of CA3's interior is to be excised as soon as possible, and all witnesses detained indefinitely. Under no circumstances should any personnel attempt to enter CA3, or communicate with the persons inhabiting it, or communicate with the persons inhabiting it, or communicate with the persons inhabiting it. However, any person known to have been inside CA3 at any point must be detained and interrogated. A direct military assault on CA3 has been deemed unfeasible at this point, due to the unknown capabilities of the entity or entities by which it is controlled. Note: this is a summary, and it does not contain all information relevant to CA3. For detailed information regarding CA3, see UIU files 0042 through 020. CUIU files 0042 through 0218. Director blank. Director redacted. Known information. The Unusual Incidents Unit was alerted to CA3's existence on September 7th, 1954. When students attending redacted high school reported that the interior of the building was vastly different than it had been at any point in the past. Upon discovery, CA3 exhibited several unusual, if not inherently paranormal, traits. Nearly all walls in the facility had been replaced with steel-reinforced concrete. Although several rooms were constructed of other materials for no readily apparent reason. All exterior windows had been covered from the inside. All student desks, personal effects, textbooks, and other materials expected of a public high school were completely absent. Lockers were still present, albeit significantly smaller and constructed of stainless steel. The arrangement, location, and size of rooms and facilities did not match blueprints for the school. Often rooms would exhibit seemingly random modifications, although the number of changed rooms is currently unknown. No fewer than 17 electronic computers were found, each of which made use of state-of-the-art magnetic core RAM. Prior to its classification as a confirmed anomaly, Redacted High School had no computers. All files on the computers were inaccessible, and the computers themselves are firmly bolted down. The auditorium is inaccessible due to a large steel wall completely blocking the doorways. Attempts to move or damage this barrier have been ineffective. The extent and purpose of the barrier are unknown, as are the contents of the auditorium. A team sent into CA3's interior to do a complete survey. Team CA305 did not return. Nor did a second team, Team CA306, tasked with locating the first team. The facilities are currently under lockdown pending new containment protocols. Update. 23 days after initial recovery, guards reported white noise emanating from CA3, the volume of which increased near its auditorium. 5 hours later, the white noise stopped. Although the sound of voices was audible from the interior of CA3. Upon further investigation, it was found that the building now contained a large number of persons, all of whom appeared to be wandering aimlessly through the facility. Notably, each individual was physically identical to a member of Team CA306, despite the inhabitants of CA3 vastly outnumbering the members of Team CA306. Attempts to interview or detain the inhabitants were thwarted by classified. The 12 members of Team CA305 were not found. In addition to the aforementioned, the interior layout of CA3 had changed significantly since the previous investigations. No mechanism which could explain this has been identified. Update. 3 months after the previous incident, white noise was again heard emanating from the auditorium. This time, the decision was made to investigate immediately. It was found that most of CA3-2, the designation given to the inhabitants of CA3, had gathered near the doors of the auditorium. A circular hole roughly 6 feet in diameter had formed in the steel barrier, although the interior was not visible. At 03:10 hours, an item resembling a classified emerged from the hole and was carried away by an inhabitant. The item was placed in one of the classrooms, which had not previously been observed to open. This process continued for upwards of 8 hours, with a new item being produced once every 3 minutes. Most were seen entering a different room or locker, although insufficient personnel were available to track all items. Further investigation revealed that most, if not all of the items produced, exhibited anomalous properties themselves. A significant portion of CA3-2 are involved in either guarding the items produced, collectively CA3-3, or performing various tests on them. Update. 2 days after the previous incident, three identical armed guards appeared near each entrance to CA3. Further attempts to enter the building were futile, as these guards have consistently overpowered all teams sent to enter CA3, regardless of injury or relative level of armament. Note: reports gathered during the 2 days prior to guards manifesting outside of CA3 appear to confirm that CA3-2 is following standard UIU protocol regarding the items produced by the auditorium. Their knowledge of UIU's standard procedure is consistent with that of Team CA305. Update. During the UIU's tracking of CA6, two men identical to Agent Dixon, a member of CA306, emerged from a parked car and forcibly detained CA6. Dragging him into the car and driving away. Tracking the vehicle for the next 8 hours revealed that it was driving directly to CA3. Upon arrival, the vehicle drove directly through the front doors, which the guards had opened shortly before their arrival. CA6 has not been recovered. UIU file 0042. Message received from CA3. On May 15th, 1965, the following message was transmitted in Morse code from CA3 on standard UIU communication frequencies. Sensitive data has been classified and the beginning of each sentence has been capitalized, but the message has not otherwise been changed. Hello! We are the O5 Council and we secure, contain, protect. We have been shown to do and it would be nice to be friends. It is nice to have been a part of your excellent, but it is best that with superior... It is nice to have been a part of your excellent, but it is best that with superior resources given, the greatness, we will control containment. Our sincerest apologies regarding guards and detainment, workers and secrets kept needed. The time and waits, we apologize. The radio blocked by one SCP or two. Expect an expansion soon, for we spaces for although away from auditorium. Okay, but unwant. 8 hours later, the following transmission was received. Expanded now. See the... Redacted. Federal building, it is now a functional. Need doctors, guards, D-men recruiting. Anomalies found and further possibly international. Researching, of course, possible. International, maybe days, weeks to do. Further, we O5 are aware. Sorry 206 missed. That legible barely. But go between auditorium not. Redacted. Goodbye and luck with your troubles. For further information, see UIU file 0 blank. For further information, see UIU file O redacted. Altered federal building in. Altered federal building in. Redacted. Confirmed anomaly 10. Confirmed anomaly 10. Confirmed anomaly 10. Alrighty. Scantron. Let me pop every knuckle that I have. Alrighty, well. I need to get to editing work for this, because these are going to be coming out next week. I'm going to call the YouTube portion of this stream here. And we'll just transfer over to Twitch entirely to do editing. So, for now, thank you all for hanging out. I hope you had a good time, because I certainly did. Y'all have a good night. I'll see you all later.